Yeah, we got to get a FanDuel read out the way, then we'll dive into the Deshaun news. You've heard us talk about FanDuel a lot, America's undisputed number one sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you guys today. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's number one sportsbook. So, Bull, yesterday during practice, Deshaun threw a couple passes and then got held back from the rest of practice. Kevin Stefanski described it as general arm soreness. That was essentially all he gave. He said he's not too concerned about it. Deshaun did throw earlier in the practice, then was going through the motions and throwing his towel, taking those mental reps later in practice. Is this cause for concern, or is this no big deal that Deshaun sat out the second half of practice essentially with, as Kevin Stefanski described it, general arm soreness?
I mean, this seems like a pretty big deal for me, but I'd really like to hear from Tyvis on this first because he's the former player.
Yeah.
Because this sounds pretty alarming to me.
Yeah, you would think that for a guy that's, spent he had some reps in OTAs and then he spent camp throwing. And we've seen him throw from short, we've seen him throw medium, we've seen him throw deep balls. And it's alarming that now all of a sudden his arm is sore. I didn't feel like they made him pick up his workload or anything like that because he got cleared, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So unless his workload has just quadrupled, it's kind of alarming that he got his arm all of a sudden is now sore when he's been throwing this entire time.
Let me ask you this. Is every quarterback in theory sore now because they've been throwing for a few weeks and it's just like a natural part of this time of year? Or is there something more to it here?
Well, I mean, you want to rest the arm at some point, and I'm hoping that that's what it is, that they just wanted to rest his arm for the day. But if it's literally soreness,
like that could mean an issue.
Yeah, like why is that the case? Like you've literally, it's not like you've been doing nothing and now they've threw a whole bunch of reps at you. You've been taking reps, so your arm should be kind of used to it. That's why to me it's like, but I don't think it will it affect him going into week one. No, I don't.
Sure?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
I wouldn't look at it that bad because if it's just soreness now, he should be good in a couple of days. Ice it, get treated. All of those things, he should be fine for week one. Now, I will say my concern will be after that game. How will he feel after that game? Because he's going to take hits and all kind of stuff. So,
and he's not going to, I assume now he won't play in the third preseason game. I know they haven't.
He's making sure of it.
Deshaun, he doesn't want to play.
He didn't want to play.
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
What is happening?
This whole thing is weird. The whole thing is weird. The whole vibe around this entire camp has been very strange. And I haven't been out there a ton, obviously, but I've checked it with a couple, and it's just weird. It's the only best word to describe it. It doesn't make sense. And I was talking to Zach Jackson on the drive-in, obviously covers the Browns for us. And I didn't realize this until he laid it out like this. Deshaun hasn't really been throwing. Like Zach said Tuesday's practice was like a nothing practice. Deshaun threw, but it was a little bit. He hadn't really thrown since last Thursday. So why is his shoulder sore? Or why is his arm, I shouldn't say shoulder. Why is his arm sore? He hadn't thrown the ball. They went through practice Thursday. They had a bit of a nothing practice Tuesday. And Zach said he looked good Wednesday. Like when he threw it at the start of, Zach said, I actually thought he made some good throws.
Maybe
and then he shut it down.
Maybe he went to the weight room and lifted some heavy stuff.
But like, and the talk when I was at the Greenbrier, back, and I only say Greenbrier for the timing of it, way back then, there was people around in sort of Deshaun's camp who were making it sound like he wasn't going to play in the preseason. And then Kevin comes out and says he's going to play.
This is the second time they did this.
And then Deshaun comes out and says, well, it's news to me. And now Kevin sort of backtracks and says, well, we'll reassess, as we get closer to the game. And then Deshaun just shuts it down.
Yeah.
It's weird. The whole thing is weird.
My mind is going through a lot of different things here. One part of me says, and maybe I'm just being hopeful because I want him to be healthy. Maybe this general soreness is bullshit, and they're just saying it because they weren't on the same page about him playing, and Deshaun doesn't want to play, as you're alluding to.
That's what
and
it
that
sounds
this
to
is
me
Kevin
like.
Stefanski's way of not having to backtrack, and he's just saying, hey, he's got soreness, we can't play.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
we all watched the first couple of preseason games.
Right.
How did the left side look? Do you think that Deshaun's like, we ain't got no left tackle. I ain't going out there.
He's going to have to go out there against
That's
Dallas.
pretty lame if that's the case.
I'm about to go out there and get killed if we ain't got no left tackle.
It's the preseason. You can't have a couple of quick passes? I mean, let's go.
I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, I'm playing what if.
Yeah, right, no.
What if?
I get it.
What if he's like, I don't really trust that line right
Yeah.
now, so I ain't,
Is he going to trust him against Dallas? Because it may
He's gonna have no choice.
be the
He
same
ain't have
line.
a choice. But he thinking, I got at least I'll make it to Dallas.
Yeah. It's just weird.
It is.
The whole thing.
It is.
The whole vibe around this team, right? And that doesn't mean the season's going to unravel or anything. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you, it's very strange. It's been.
Can you
very
elaborate
strange-
more on that?
No, I'm just like
Yeah.
the line's a mess. This thing
Yeah.
with Deshaun is weird.
Yeah.
It's just like the defenses look great, the offenses look terrible.
And listen, this is Kevin Stefanski's philosophy. It may work, it may not work. I mean, every year's a new year. But he's making it seem as if, like I always say, oh, there's no value for us when it comes to the preseason. We don't really learn anything. But the preseason has value to the players, right?
100%.
The preseason has value to the coaches.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski doesn't seem to think it matters at all because all the players that matter the most are doing nothing in the preseason.
He's looking at it from a standpoint that, yes, to that point,
Yeah.
he's like, I kind of got my guy. I think Kevin and a lot of that organization is like, we know who we got. Like, we don't really need to see them because we know what they're going to do once the season come around. They look like, to me, the Browns take the approach of, I want to get the young guys that we're going to depend on as much reps as possible, and I want to get guys an opportunity to earn a way to either make this team or make a team. So, to me, when I watch the preseason for the Browns, for at least these two games that we've seen, it's been predicated on, you've seen Mike Hall, you've seen Zach Zinter, you've seen guys, those are the guys that we're going to kind of depend on at some point during the season. But I also want other guys, Tyler Huntley, DTR, Jamari Thrash, or maybe Miles Harden. I want these guys to get some tape out there just in case if we don't keep them, they can make it in the NFL at some point. And I kind of respect that too. But at the end of the day, you still got to do what's best to get your team ready. I'm trying to think. See, last year's opener against Cincinnati was kind of a wash because it rained.
The right weather, yep.
Who did they play week 2?
They lost to Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football.
And that one was terrible because
right.
Chubb went down.
Yeah.
But I feel like the
blew the
offense.
game
It did. So I don't know if
wasn't that the Steelers had like 0 offensive yards in the fourth quarter and won the game?
There was the strip sack, touchdown.
Right.
Jed got burned by, I figure it was Hayward or Watt, but Deshaun didn't play well, but the line and the rest of the team also did not.
See, so it's like, it feels like
and
to
he
me
played really good in week 3.
they trying to figure out what the right recipe is because you want to come out and you want to be week 1. It's a big game. You want to make sure that your team is ready to go.
But to that point, guys, how could we be? And he may go out there and play a great game. You never know.
Talking about
Deshaun
against Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay.
But how would we possibly think he's ready to go for week 1? He hasn't been on the field in a game since the middle of last year. He's not played a single snap in preseason and probably won't. Jason said he hasn't thrown the ball in a week. Report.
I've been on the show.
That's what Zach's reporting.
When I was talking to Zach on the drive-in, he said he went through Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday was a nothing practice. Like, it was a practice that he threw, but it was nothing intense. And then the start of Wednesday, he shut it down.
So how would we expect him? And again, he's coming off 3 straight seasons where he's either not played or missed a lot of time and not played particularly great when he has played. So how could you be I have no confidence that he's going to play well or be ready to play in this week 1 game.
We have no indication that he's ready, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Of course. I'm just saying. You can't be confident in it.
Well, all I know is the way that they've been going about this whole thing.
Yeah.
They better make sure that they're successful because if they don't, it's so much ammunition to point back on.
Yeah.
So to me, they got to make sure that they know what they're doing on this. And at this point, I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm going to sit back and trust that they know more. They see things more than we do. So they got more information than we do.
Absolutely.
So these guys get paid a lot of money to handle these teams. So I'm going to just trust that they earn and their money.
But you agree this is weird.
It is. To go through a whole preseason and not play.
Coming off what he's coming off.
Yeah, like that. Hasn't Joe Burrow went out there and played?
Yeah.
And by the way, in what world does arthroscopic knee surgery require 9 months of recovery?
Nah, it had to be some type of setback on that.
This is wild.
Because people get that and be like out for like maybe a week or two. And I don't know if he was in. Did he do drills? He wasn't in pads.
He did individual work on the field. It's the first time he was seen on the field in Tyvis. You could read into this whatever you want. Seriously, probably looking way too far into this. The videos you saw, he was taking side steps and slides, both left and right.
Right.
Which may indicate it could be absolutely nothing. It could mean nothing. But the fact he was doing slides both ways.
Well, that puts him ahead of Jed.
Maybe they put him at left tackle, though. Maybe it's an attempt to get him to work on that left slide.
I figured that.
He hasn't played left tackle at all since he's been on the Browns.
I figured that would be the thing.
Yeah,
him.
But you got to.
You got it. You knew that you wasn't going to touch DeJuan, and you knew Jed would be the guy. So the best thing would have been to swing him so he could do both sides. Right. Plus, on top of that, it'll make him more valuable as well moving forward. Because now, okay, you play left tackle and right tackle. Yeah. So if it came down to a situation where Jed is balling out and DeJuan's balling out, maybe somebody would be like, "Hey, we need tackle. We got tackle issues. Can we throw a trade for him?" So it would bring him more value for sure.
That's true.
Or if you're gonna keep him around, it still holds value,
especially with all the injury proneness at that position for them and just in general. Mike, do you have that video, the Charlie Weiss thing?
Yeah, Steve. I don't know if you put it in the SOT. It's 224 is a SOT.
So let me give you some background. I'm sure, I hope all of you that watch this show also watch my podcast on YouTube, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. On yesterday's episode, I interviewed former NFL coach Charlie Weiss.
Okay.
And if you can, please go to YouTube or Spotify or whatever and check out the whole interview. He really had some interesting things to say about Tom Brady because he was Tom Brady's OC when Tom Brady first started in New England.
Yeah.
So he loves Tom Brady like a son.
And he was labeled an offensive genius because of Tom Brady.
That's right.
I'm sure he does love Tom Brady.
That's right.
Tom made him a lot of money at Notre Dame.
He certainly did. He certainly did. So, and he has a very interesting perspective. He hated the roast. He was very angry about it.
Really?
I asked him about it. But anyway, it's a really good interview. But this one part I found fascinating because it's something I've been debating with Earl mostly and some other people that we've moved. Some people want to move the goalposts on Deshaun Watson. The Browns gave up what they gave up and paid him what they paid him to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Not to just put up Baker Mayfield numbers.
They had that.
And not just win. It's not, and that's a lame excuse to me because the better he plays, the more games you're going to win. Mm-hmm. It's that obvious. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I asked Charlie Weiss specifically about Deshaun Watson. Here's what he had to say.
Deshaun Watson came out. Andy Reid and I are very close friends. And we had a conversation that year. I liked Deshaun Watson the best, and he liked Patrick Mahomes the best. You say, well, why did I like Deshaun Watson? Well, my kid was coaching at Alabama. The one thing I can tell you in both those games, and I watched Tua and Jalen Hurts playing for Alabama. Okay, in both those games, the best player on the field was Deshaun Watson. Coming out, it was no big surprise to me that he had early success in Houston for the first bunch of years that he was there. Who in their right mind would say somebody who hasn't played much the last couple of years is ready to go? I mean, you just can't say that. Now, he might come out and be the best thing since sliced bread. And to be honest with you, Cleveland's got all the pieces in place to be a really successful team. But if he's just a good quarterback, that's not going to be good enough. He's got to be better than just a good quarterback. He can't just be better than serviceable. He has to be very good.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah.
It can't just be Baker Mayfield was serviceable to better than serviceable at times. That's fine. You could be competitive that way. I think we have a lot of fans in here right now that are saying, well, We had terrible quarterback play for the most part last year, so if we're just serviceable at quarterback, we'll win a lot of games. It doesn't work. Things don't go the same way.
I wouldn't call it terrible. Joe Flacco was not terrible.
Well, he wasn't terrible, but he still drew a lot of picks.
He did.
All right? It was below average overall for the season, the quarterback play.
I mean, you throw the ball 40 times a game.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're going to throw some picks.
It's going to happen.
But the point is, Tyvis, and you know this better than anybody as a former player, that things are like the way the Browns won last year is not sustainable.
I agree.
Right? You can't win with 5 quarterbacks. Yeah, it was cool that they did it, but if you don't get good quarterback play in this division, in this conference, you're not going to make the playoffs, most likely, and you're certainly not going to win in the playoffs if you do get there. So it can't just be, we just need him to contribute to the wins. No, he's got to be a reason why they win, for them to be as good as they want to be, to reach their peak.
Well, I mean, the defense is going to be the reason why they win. I mean, let's just throw that out there. But yes, if they want to win the Super Bowl, yes,
that's right.
Then yes,
the Chiefs had a really good defense last year.
Exactly. But
they would have won the Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes.
When it came down to it, Patty did what Patty needed to do. So
right.
You want those same expectations out of your quarterback. And I think that they have done a good job of at least getting him some pieces. Now, those pieces do have to turn into something, and he's part of that. You know, you've seen Patty Mahomes do it with some weak receivers. You've seen Tom Brady do it with some weak receivers.
Yeah.
So the quarterback should absolutely make some of these receivers better because they all have the talent to be really good. It's up to him to get the ball to them, which I think he will do. Outside of that, game plan wise, they went and got the game plan that you want with Ken Dorsey coming in. So they've done everything. They've literally done everything to help you be what you're supposed to be. You say you need all these things to be this good quarterback. Well, they've laid that out. So there's no excuse. If it doesn't work or if the offense doesn't look good this year, it's not going to be on Kevin. It's not going to be on Ken. It's going to be on him. And he has to know that.
Yeah, 100%. Jason, final thought on this? Before we move on to Mike Hall?
It's been weird. It's been very, very weird.
Weird is a big word. Right
I mean,
I hope they pull it together.
It's different. It's just it's definitely different.
Mike, what do you got for us?